There must have been a darn good reason that Jesus talked about money more than he did heaven and hell combined. He said things like, don't seek treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but seek the treasures of heaven.
God is first in everyone's life. Think about that. God is first in everyone's life. It just depends on who or what is your God. Now, the major doctrines of the Bible, as well as our flawed human condition, can be traced back to the Garden of Eden, as recorded in Genesis. There we watch as Eve made her decision to trade a relationship with God for personal gain and passed on that flaw to the rest of us. Today's prosperity preachers are doing the same thing by making gain their focus instead of a focus on the message of the cross and a relationship with Jesus Christ.
We're talking about the prosperity gospel. And I have to start right away with the words from Jesus Christ. Do not lay up for yourself treasures on earth, but rather lay up treasures in heaven. Very plain teaching from Matthew chapter 6, verse 19.
Jesus taught that his disciples are to be a peculiar people and live differently than the world. In fact, he said that those who seek wealth, like the rest of the world, are in grave danger.
Those who use God in order to get what they desire are actually unbelievers. To obsess over earthly things that will perish actually blinds them from seeing the true joys of heaven.
Matthew 6:24, Jesus says, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. So there's nothing new under the sun. In the Old Testament, Ezekiel, chapters 12 through 14, Ezekiel dealt with the false prophets of that day. They were prophesying blessing and prosperity, while the true prophet of God was prophesying God's judgment.
And I even heard a prosperity man that used that passage of scripture to say that, well, heaven is like having a bank account, and anytime you need some money, just pull it out. That's not at all what is being taught here. We are to lay up treasures in heaven. The problem in my mind with the prosperity gospel, first of all, is that it is for the here and now, rather than looking at what's good for eternity.
To lust after prosperity in the name of God is to believe another gospel which is no gospel at all. It's narcissistic materialism, and it will lead a person to hell.
When this money gospel comes up in conversations, I usually point to 1 Timothy chapter 6, which appropriately describes these people as men of corrupt mind who have been robbed of the truth and who think that godliness is a means to financial gain. Now, prosperity isn't evil. Desiring financial blessing is not wrong, and 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 6 gives us a principle for blessing. It says that whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, but whoever sows generously will reap generously. Now, my wife and I have personally experienced the truths of this scripture, but even with this wonderful promise, motives still matter.
It also creates wrong motives. Giving becomes a way of being blessed rather than a way of being a blessing. The other problem that I find with the prosperity gospel is the fact that those who maybe are sick or are ill or are not rich, it becomes a lack of faith issue, and it creates a condemnation and a guilt.
In this life, Christians will struggle. Your life as a believer may be good today, but tomorrow you may have to endure whatever afflictions God, in his providence, deems necessary to send you. But that doesn't mean you are not his child or that he does not love you. Godliness with contentment is great gain.
God does not have a problem so much with prosperity rightly gained, but he has a big problem with idolatry.
Proverbs 30:7 through 9. In essence, what it's saying is, Lord, don't make me so rich that I'll forget you, but also don't make me so poor that I'll profane your name and have to steal in order to have what I need.